Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Young and the Restless Thursday, January 2nd recap. Sharon tied up in Jordan's motel room. Nick demands Ian's arrest. The Young and the Restless YNR spoilers recap for Thursday, January 2nd, reveals that Mariah Copeland Cameron Grimes will yell for Ian Ward Ray Weiss to get away from Tessa Porter Kate Fairbanks and will assume he did something to her. Ian will insist he came to the aid of Mariah's wife, so she'll ask how he knew they were married and if he's stalking them. Once Faith Newman Raylan Castor and Nick Newman Joshua Morrow pop up outside society, they realize Ian is back and fly into a rage. Ian will contend that he's a changed man and that he's out of prison legitimately, but Nick won't buy that news at all. Tessa will ultimately realize Warren Masters is actually the cult leader who ruined Mariah's childhood, so she'll be apologetic as she recovers from her health crisis. Mariah will insist Tessa couldn't have known and won't blame her for falling for Ian's manipulation. However, Ian will argue that he really is a prison chaplain and that he was simply using another name to avoid the baggage that comes with his real one. Nick will think Ian is just up to his old tricks, so he'll get Faith to call the cops and wait inside with Mariah as well as Tessa. Since Tessa will be feeling better, she'll refuse to let anyone call an ambulance for her. Tessa will agree to see a doctor eventually, but she'll want to resolve all this Ian drama first. After Tessa quizzes Mariah about her history with Ian, Mariah will admit it's tough to talk about and will flash back to when she woke in a wedding gown after Ian drugged her. Tessa will worry since she showed Ian a picture of Aria Porter Copeland Maddie and Millie Engel and told him her name. Mariah will insist it'll be okay and will count on Ian to leave now that he's been outed. Once Tessa regrets not being able to kiss Mariah at midnight, Faith will suddenly realize Sharon case never made it to the celebration. In Jordan's Colleen Zenk motel room, an unconscious Sharon will be tied up on the bed with duct tape over her mouth. Back with Nick, he'll put Ian on full blast for all his old crimes and refuse to forget what he did to the Newmans. Ian will pull out his prison chaplain identification card at one point, but that won't convince Nick that he's telling the truth. Once a police officer arrives, Nick will demand that Ian be arrested. Ian will maintain that he committed no crime and may have even saved a life tonight since he helped Tessa with his inhaler. After Ian urges the officer to check with the Prison Chaplain Association and the prison administration, he'll insist everything can be verified. Since Ian will claim he wants to make amends for his past mistakes, he'll intend on sticking around Genoa City. At the Jazz Lounge, Diane Jenkins Abbott Susan Walters will plead her case to Michael Baldwin Christian LeBlanc, who'll forgive her for pretending her marriage was falling apart. Jack Abbott Peter Bergman will also share a dance with Lauren Baldwin Tracy E. Bregman and ask for kindness when it comes to Diane. Later, Lauren will compliment Diane's teardrop of love necklace and seem open to a double date in the future. Next on Thursday's YNR episode, Daniel Romalotti Jr. Michael Graziadei will confide in Danny Romalotti Michael Damian about his concerns regarding Phyllis Summers Michelle Stafford anger and everything Lucy Romalotti Lily Brooks O'Brien is going through, too. Daniel will also fret over this whole situation with Sharon and whether there might be someone else out there who wants to cause harm. Although Daniel will worry he might drown in grief before he can make it out of the eye of the storm, Danny will offer reassurance. Even when Danny is on tour, he'll promise Daniel that he'll always be there to listen and that he's only a phone call away. Since Danny won't have to get back out on the road just yet, he'll make plans for some family time with Daniel and Lucy before he goes. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Daniel has some surprises ahead of him as he copes with the loss of Heather Stevens' Vale Bloom, so we'll pass along more story predictions and updates on all the chaos. The day began with Sharon Newman, the beloved character known for her strength and resilience, trapped in a dire situation that seemed to unravel all of her progress. Sharon, always an empathetic soul, found herself at the mercy of Jordan, a mysterious figure who had been lurking in the shadows of Genoa City for some time. Sharon had been manipulated into a dangerous game, but now it seemed as though she was going to pay the price for her trust in the wrong people. Sharon, still vulnerable from past heartbreaks, had been lured into a confrontation with Jordan under the guise of seeking closure. However, once she arrived at the dingy motel room, it became painfully clear that Jordan had no intentions of offering any solace. With the door locked behind her and no way to escape, Sharon was helplessly tied up, physically and emotionally. As the ropes tightened around her wrists, Sharon's mind raced, and she struggled to break free from her captor's clutches. She had been through so much in her life, but this felt like a new low. Sharon's determination to survive shone through her panic as she tried to keep her composure. She knew that her family, especially her children, would be devastated if something happened to her, and she vowed not to let that become her reality. Sharon's captivity in Jordan's motel room highlighted just how far he was willing to go to control her, but Sharon was not the type to give up easily. Despite her fear, she clung to the hope that someone, anyone, would come to her rescue. Could Nick, her ex-husband and the father of her children, be her knight in shining armor, or would she have to find the strength to save herself? Nick's bold demand: arrest Ian Ward. Meanwhile, across town, Nick Newman was on a mission. The father of two had just learned the truth about Ian Ward's involvement in a series of manipulations that had led to Sharon's current predicament. Nick had spent the last few days piecing together the twisted web of lies that had ensnared his ex-wife, and he was ready to take action. The shock of learning about Ian's deep connection to Sharon's turmoil sent Nick into a frenzy. Nick, who had always been protective of Sharon, was furious when he learned that she was once again being drawn into Ian's dark world. His paternal instincts kicked into overdrive, and he knew that the only way to protect Sharon was to confront Ian head-on. Nick stormed into the police station, demanding Ian's immediate arrest. His voice rang with anger as he told the officers that Ian was the one responsible for everything: Sharon's kidnapping, her fear, and her ultimate betrayal by someone she thought she could trust. Nick's sense of urgency left no room for negotiation. He knew that if Ian remained free, it was only a matter of time before Sharon was lost to him forever. The detective, who had been piecing together the pieces of the case alongside Nick, listened carefully to Nick's accusations. Nick's passion for Sharon was clear, but was it enough to convince the law that Ian needed to be brought to justice? As the clock ticked, Nick grew more desperate for answers. His frustration with the legal system bubbled to the surface, and it was evident that he was running out of patience. His request for Ian's arrest was clear, but the question remained: would they be able to move fast enough to stop whatever plan Ian had in store for Sharon? The deepening mystery. As the hour drew on, the tension between Sharon's struggle for freedom and Nick's frantic pursuit of justice became even more palpable. The mystery surrounding Jordan's motives and Ian's involvement only deepened. With Sharon's life in the balance and Nick determined to protect her, it seemed that the stakes were higher than ever. Sharon's phone, once again a lifeline to the outside world, remained silent. There were no calls, no messages, no signals of help. Sharon had always been able to count on her instincts, but even her sharp mind seemed clouded by fear and uncertainty. Her hope was fading, and she feared that she might not make it out of the motel room alive. However, Nick's persistence was unwavering. His demand for Ian's arrest reached the right ears, and the wheels of justice slowly began to turn. As Nick fought for Sharon's safety, he was also fighting against time. The more he learned about Ian's twisted games, the more Nick understood that Ian was never in this for the money or power. He was in it to destroy everything Nick held dear. But Nick would not let that happen. Cliffhanger, a daring rescue. The episode ended on a cliffhanger that had fans on the edge of their seats. Just as Nick's frustration reached its peak, the camera cut to Sharon, struggling in her bonds, her face a mixture of pain and defiance. Would she be able to escape, or would her fate be sealed by the hands of a man who seemed to hold all the cards? And then, just as the screen faded to black, a sudden knock on the door of the motel room left viewers with one burning question: was help on the way? Could someone, Nick, perhaps be moments away from rescuing Sharon from her worst nightmare? Or was this just another twist in a game of cat and mouse?